Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Auphanim. So we have an article here today on ripple.com. Make sure you head over there and check out this article that they just wrote titled CBDCs Unlock Endless Fiscal Policy Options. I believe that anything that has to do with CBDCs is crucial information, especially if there's a document that we can read. Maybe it might provide us with more insight on which direction they're going in. The reason I say that is because as of now, there's not one solid way that they're approaching CBDCs. Rather, they have a few pathways that they're considering, and they haven't nailed it down to where they want to go as far as policy, and even the way that they're structuring CBDCs. Okay, they're trying to come into one accord, and there's just so many different entities involved that it's taking time. Of course, that I think this is logical. It's taking a lot of time to pull everybody together into one accord. So anytime these types of documents are released, I think is important to go over and give it a read. So this one here is written by James Wallace. It's on ripple.com. And let's start here. It says, proponents of central bank digital currencies often point to the additional fiscal policy options that CBDCs enable, such as efficient stimulus payment delivery. Okay, this is interesting. The redacted, I'm not going to say that word on this channel. I'm just going to say redacted. The redacted highlighted this weakness in the U.S. financial system when the government struggled to deliver CARES Act payments quickly to those in need. Obviously, this would be remedied with utilizing something like the RippleNet XRPL. Obviously, that data would be sent almost instantaneously to everybody with no slippage, no loss of data. That was another issue I remember they were having, sending out funds to different individuals. A lot of them came late. It seemed like things were getting lost. They didn't know where payments were going. It's a sad thing, sad. All because they didn't want to innovate, all because they didn't want to step forward into the future and use advanced, let me make that straight, advanced blockchain technologies like XRP to XRPL. And they could have. They negated to do that. They never expected for certain worldly events to happen, and yet they did. This shows you the very sluggish nature of how governments move, especially the United States government has a history of being sluggish on adopting new technologies. But let's continue on here. As a result, the banked population with higher incomes quickly received their stimulus payments, while the unbanked and underbanked population, those in the most need of financial relief, were at the end of the line. But here's something I want to add to that. This is also why, if let's say Ripple stays true to their word, sort of like with Stellar, Stellar was proclaiming that Ripple and Stellar want to bank the unbanked. Okay, which to Ripple, or in the case of XRP, is to a much lesser degree. Okay, because they're concentrating on the banks, but they do still throw this out there that they sort of want to help bank the unbanked, and that makes sense because Ripple wants to move all of the money, so that makes sense. But if that is the case, this is why I was telling you guys, when you have regulatory clarity, that the marketing is key, because those people who are unbanked or underbanked, they don't know about blockchain technology. They don't. So they need some way for them to be exposed to it. You're going to have to really, really target those areas. Put advertisements on TV in those areas. Put advertisements on the internet in those areas specifically, or else they won't know. But if they do know that there's a better option, if they do know that there's a cheaper option, they will use it. If they know their money's going to get to them 100% of the time, nothing is lost, nothing is stolen, and they have already experienced these terrible things through the legacy banking system, I believe majority of those underbanked or non-banked individuals will use the XRPL. They will use the Stellar blockchain. Why would they not? And I also want to say that with so many of the wallets being streamlined now, and I mean, compared to the past, they are so easy to use. Okay, they're very easy. You remember how they used to be? And that's the same with some of the exchanges. They used to be terribly intimidating to use. But now everything is getting more streamlined. So even a person that doesn't have a lot of time to research blockchain, they don't have to be a scientist in order to use it. So with the easeability of use increasing, marketing and advertising coming with regulatory clarity or the end of this case, whatever comes first. That's the way that you access them, okay? I think that's the only way you're going to access them. If not, these individuals are too worried about going to work. Where's their next paycheck coming from? They have a lot of real life issues that are going to distract them from something, distract them from doing something like learning about blockchain independently. Absolutely not. You're going to have to get in their face and say, here, we have something new for you. Here, this can help you exponentially. So there you have it. And a lot of people in those areas are sending money back home. So it's dual. Not only will they be able to ensure that their money gets to them 100% of the time, no data is lost, right? But they'll also be able to send money back home almost instantaneously. That's important. That's important. So let's keep that in mind too. Let's continue on here. A CBDC could not only transform stimulus payments, but it could also, and a lot of other payments, by the way, they're going to be doing a lot of things in the future. Governmentally, there's a lot of different documents on the table they're going to have to look over. I think a lot of you understand there's things going on in other regions where they're going to be trying to do some sort of payments to people. All right. Now, not everybody agrees on that, but now that that's happening in other regions, those types of things are being put forth as a possibility in the United States. Let's say some things like that happen and they're going to be sending out these monthly payments to people and such. So let's just play that game, okay, just in case. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying let's just play that game and then we can see how it will relate to the XRPL. If that happens, they're going to need a system like this. This type of system, XRPL, XRP, would benefit them, right? Because a lot of those payments, not only do you not want them to get lost, not only do you want them not to get to people late because they have to pay bills, they have to buy food, but a lot of those payments go across the borders and are sent back home. Once again, we come full circle. They need a system like this, okay? So I just want to put that in there. Let's continue on here. Depending on a CBDC platform's structure, and I was just talking about that, there's no one, so there's a myriad of different types of structures. And so in the future, one of the things they're going to have to do is start to whittle down what type of infrastructure is going to dominate. There's going to be, everyone's using different stuff. You have some banks that are using the hash graph. Like I said, Hedera's working with the biggest bank based on assets. In Africa, you have some using Algorand. Some of these protocols using federated Byzantine consensus mechanisms. I mean, there's different mechanisms. I mean, don't quote me on it. That's not my specialty. But they're all using these different types of infrastructures. They're going to have to come on to one accord so everything can be more interoperable, okay? And some of the CBDCs are not even using DLT. They're taking their time. They've had bad experiences with the legacy system offerings. So as the Atlantic Council stated, they're now trying to move over to DLT. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. We have to stay up to date with it. There's no guarantees. As the world changes, people also change. They change their minds. We'll see how that goes. I think that's just logical. Let's continue on here. So it says, depending on a CBDC platform structure, CBDCs could be deposited directly into digital wallets near instantly. I just said that, right? That's a great thing. In the model where citizens had accounts at their central bank, stimulus payments from central bank could be delivered in seconds. Assuming adequate know your customer KYC checks were in place at a national level. I want to say something about that because, okay, keep in mind now, I understand what they're saying here, but the Atlantic Council and a few others that were on the panel with Stellar, all right, and they have a lot of power. They have a lot of say-so. They were saying that they want their intermediaries to be commercial banks and non-banking financial institutions, that the central banks didn't really want to deal with customers directly, deal with the people directly. And that goes for the Fed also, because the Fed is included in that. All right. So just keep that in mind that could change. So I don't see a myriad of people having their central banks dealing with them directly so that directness, that ease of directness of payment is taking place. No. What they're going to have to do is figure out a way, even if they're using intermediaries like BIT or such like that, right? Or MTech, even if they're using intermediaries, that instantaneousness, that directness of payment and finality is still the same as it would be by dealing with the central banks. That's what they're going to have to do. Okay, just from the knowledge that I have acquired and in these different things I have read and PDFs. And of course, like I said, go over to Stellar Foundation's YouTube and watch that video. They were iterating that in there as well. And the Atlantic Council is running the CBDC tracker. They have the most information about CBDCs. So when they speak, I tend to believe them. Okay, let's continue on here. It says, regardless of the CBDC platform structure, the potential fiscal policy options that CBDCs unlock is impressive. Just as food stamps today act as a targeted solution for food insecurity, specially tailored CBDCs, oh, that's interesting, specially tailored CBDCs could do the same in the digital sphere. Thus, CBDCs could be tagged for certain goods and services. That's an interesting way to look at it. For example, a government could create CBDCs that are targeted specifically to help a family make a home rental payment. CBDCs could allow policymakers to design more customized and precise support options for individuals and communities nationwide. So once again, we're seeing that Ripple has a lot of brilliant ideas. I'm sure they're sitting down in meetings and explaining this to different individuals because these types of documents not really made for us. It's made for individuals who work for governmental agencies, governmental entities, central bank entities, and they read this, and then they're able to give a quick briefing in the office, morning time, afternoon, whatever. They're able to come in, give a quick briefing and update on these different things, and then there's a deeper discussion that happens later. That's typically how this thing works here. Okay, but let's continue on with this next little paragraph here. CBDCs could also be tailored to help stimulate the economy at a more macro level. If stimulus payments, for example, are designed to boost demand in the economy, time-bound, CBDCs could encourage consumers to spend their money before it there's implications that are positive and negative with that now. I mean, there's some heavy implications with that. Let me read that again. This is why a lot of people, I believe, listen, we're here to make money off of CBDCs. That doesn't mean that we're going to actually use the CBDCs. We just want to make money off of them. While I do believe that the majority of the world will use CBDCs, some of us are still going to just use DeFi and regular crypto, okay? Stable coins and such like that, which obviously, given a lot of information we just learned, stable coins aren't going anywhere. But you see how they do that measure of control? That's a little iffy right there, in my humble opinion. That's a little dangerous right there. So you're going to program it where they have to spend it in a certain amount of time. Now, I understand that strategy as you want the economy to boom. But at the same time, the people, don't you believe that the people should have a choice whether they want to spend that money now or save it? That they would know what's best for them. It's not just about the economy. It's about the people, the individuals, the families, right? What's best for them? Maybe this mom and dad or whoever these individuals are believe it's better for them to save that money. Maybe it's, and I mean, it's coming from their tax dollars, right? So that they should have some sort of choice. But what you're saying is, no, maybe it could be programmed and they have a certain amount of time before they have to spend it. That, I don't know about that. That's just my humble opinion. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I'm just a humble researcher. Let's continue on here. Region-specific CBDCs could be created to help stimulate economies at a local scale, such as if a typhoon devastated a specific city. That's very interesting also. CBDCs could also be linked to specific industries that have received government support or subsidization in the past, such as farming, green energy, or AI technology. I want to say this. Ripple has a lot of brilliant ideas. And I understand where this is coming from. And I understand there's been a lot of collaboration, a lot of meetings. So a lot of this information is also, they're tailoring what they're saying and what they're doing and what they're building to what the governments and banks have requested. As Stellar has also stated, as the Atlantic Council has stated, the central banks have come to them and they have certain questions. They have certain, let's say, demands, for lack of a better word. And so everyone's sort of trying to acquiesce to those demands because they want to work with them. That's big money. They want that money to flow in. I get that. That makes perfect sense. But what I'm seeing here with the CBDCs, you're confirming this level of control that all of the rebels in crypto have been concerned about. Let me keep in mind that the data and stuff like that is detached, right? So it's not like really a data issue where people are worried about being traced on everything, but so that's not the aspect that really what's being highlighted here. What's being highlighted here is the programmability of the CBDC structures and that level of control that banks and governments didn't have before, that now they will have attained. So that's a little interesting, all right? So anyway, There's a little bit more here to read. Make sure you guys head over to ripple.com and give them some traffic. I appreciate you being here. So that's very interesting. Everything's going great for Ripple right now. As you can see, they are ready to roll. They're ready to go, and XRP price is going to raise. And it's a very exciting time. I'm looking forward to hearing more from Ripple team and seeing what's going on. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? It's not a joke when I say XRP is digital gold. Now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? Until next time, let's get to the money.